Hi, and welcome to day one of the 5 days of eating clean. There were quite a few posts, questions that people had, which is expected. And rather than me responding to each one and people having to filter through or find the answer to it, I thought it'd be easier if I just addressed them all in a video. So I do want to just remind everybody that this is just about clean eating. The goals were eating clean, you're preparing your own food, you are staying hydrated, you're eating regularly, and you're prepared with your snacks and meals. So you're being proactive. And so there are a few questions and things that I could give more information about that really I think are not applicable to this group. There are people who have no idea what clean eating is. And so I need to keep it simple. I can't start talking about GMOs and I'm going to give a little bit of information about organic soon, but I don't want to overwhelm people. This is an opportunity for people to just pay attention. And so what's good about these questions are that number one, you've got questions and they need to be answered. Number two, it is going to, I think most of this, especially as you're more educated in nutrition, is really, it's all behavioral. I mean, if you want to lose 5 pounds and think you can't lose 5 pounds, there's some behavior stuff here that's happening that's hindering you, whether you know it or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to address each one of these questions, and I'm going to try not to go too much on a tangent here. Okay, the first one was a question about Jamba and going to Jamba Juice and getting a green apple smoothie with protein in if you're in a crunch. So in a hurry, would that be a healthy alternative? Number one, that you can have green apples are better to eat because they're lower on the glycemic scale. I might talk a little bit about the glycemic index as we progress here. I keep a Ziploc bag of raw almonds in my glove compartment. And if you have just throw an apple and some almonds and be prepared that way. But hopefully, if you do know what your schedule is like, the night before, you're going to get everything ready to go, and so that you are prepared. Jamba would not be the best choice. It is 50 grams of sugar. And now here's where somebody might look at the calories, because I looked it up, I didn't really know. But so I looked at the nutritional facts for this particular drink, and it's 220 calories for a 16-ounce serving. And it had 50 grams of sugar. 50 grams of sugar is too much, and that's sugar. Well, Jamba Juice in Coeur d'Alene is right by Albertsons. So if I were in a hurry, I would run into Albertsons and I'd go to the produce section and I would grab one of those bags of cut up veggies. And then I would grab, you can now get hard-boiled eggs in the deli area there where they have their pre-made sandwiches and stuff. They have hard-boiled eggs there too. Or I might get a few slices of natural turkey, depending on what it is I needed. Complex carbohydrates and protein, vegetables. You can't. Now people will say you can eat too many vegetables. I don't agree with that fully. I don't think Americans, the average American, is not going to eat too many vegetables. So go for vegetables rather than that much fruit. Now, that kind of goes along with Michelle's question about, and I don't want to get into timing of nutrients and training and stuff. Again, those are my fitness groups. This is clean eating. But Michelle's question was, she's riding for extended periods of time. She rides a bike. So she's doing goos and gels and is wanting a natural alternative to that. So that is why I'm addressing it. What she could do is start sipping on a 6 to 8% carb solution, which would be like Gatorade. Anything more than an hour, you just want to maintain your blood sugar levels, and you need something fast. So that's where glycemic index, you need something that's quick in, that your body will utilize right away. So Michelle, if you have a recovery drink, you could even dilute that. And really, I would need more information, because I would want to know, well, what time of day? Well, what did you eat before? Well, what do you eat after? Well, how do you recover? Well, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. So in general, things that you can consume while you're riding, because you probably don't have as much gastrointestinal upset while you're sitting on a bike. Sipping on that sports beverage would be a good idea. Dried fruit with some raw nuts, fig Newtons, banana, whole grain bagel, maybe half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, natural peanut butter on whole grain bread. There's lots of healthy recipes for energy bars. I have a really, really good one that I'll try to find and post in our group. So that would be something that you could do. Now, with the Jamba Juice, if Michelle, riding for 2, 3, 4 hours, if she wanted to stop by Jamba and get that juice and sip on that while she was riding, then yes. On Thursdays, I teach a 5 a.m. cycle class for an hour, and then at 6:15, I teach an insanity class. My muscle glycogen stores and liver stores are depleted. My body is primed to take on that sugar, so I could go to Jamba and get away with getting a Jamba Juice. My body would suck it up, and I would store it and utilize it for my next training session, and it would be replenishing and healing and resynthesizing. So then that's when you get into timing of nutrients and your training. But I'm not talking about exercise. I'm not talking about intensities in this group. I'm not helping you to achieve your fitness goals like I would, again, in one of my fitness groups, which I will invite you to. Okay, coffee. Coffee has its benefits as well. And when the question was going through the Starbucks drive-through, well, it really depends. The coffee is fine. It's what you're putting in the coffee. That's the question. So I am going to tell you a few of the benefits and the pros and cons of caffeine, but you have to, again, consider what it is that you are putting into that coffee. If it's just getting a cup of coffee and no artificial sweetener, then and other things, then you're good. If you need a little skim milk in there or something, then that's fine. If you prefer a non-fat latte, that it's completely up to you. But let me give you some information about caffeine. People who drink 4 or more cups of coffee per day reduce their chances of developing type 2 diabetes by 50%. Athletes who ingested carbohydrates with caffeine had 66% more glycogen in their muscles 4 hours after exhaustive exercise than when they ingested carbohydrates alone. That's something that I didn't really cover that much in my nutrition class. So I know I probably have 10 of you or 12 of you that are in this group right now from that class. So there you go, guys. Postmenopausal women who don't get enough calcium in their diets may experience spinal bone loss if their caffeine intake exceeds 300 milligrams per day. Caffeine causes short-term blood pressure spikes and can be dangerous for people with hypertension. Researchers at the University of Georgia found that a moderate dose of caffeine, about 2 cups of coffee, may reduce post-workout pain by up to 48%. So that's a good one for all of you that take my classes. Women who consume high levels of caffeine, 329 milligrams per day, are 70% more likely to have urinary incontinence than women who don't drink caffeine. So again, those are just some pros and cons, and it really does depend. So it does have its benefits, especially when you come to training and performance. Caffeine is a friend. It's an ergogenic aid that is not a bad thing, but in excess it can be, and how you tolerate it, how you tolerate caffeine. Now, one of the things, the difference between espresso and regular coffee, espresso, although it tastes stronger, it's because it's more concentrated. So 1 shot of espresso is 1 ounce, and it only has 35 milligrams of caffeine in it, versus a regular standard cup of coffee has about 100. So the longer that the water is passing through the grounds or the coffee, the more caffeine it has in it. And because espresso it's just shot, it's pressed right through, you don't get as much caffeine. So some of you that are consuming a lot of coffee in a day might want to switch to espresso and have Americanos rather than a lot of cups of coffee. Okay, now we're going to talk about wine. I'm not going to say that much about wine because there's an article that I'm going to post in our group, and it also has a little video. I might post, the video is included in the article, but I might post the video separately for those of you that want to just watch something for 40 minutes instead of read the whole thing. It doesn't give all the information, just so you know. But wine also has its pros and cons, and there are some phytochemicals in wine, particularly red wine. And I did actually switch to red wine about 2 years ago because it's healthier, because I want to drink wine. And so I thought I chose to do that. So those are the ones of the things. Those are some of the things where, as you're going through this, you just have to see, what am I going to negotiate? What am I going to compromise? What do I want to do? How do I want to change this? You know, if I don't want to go full board with this, then if you're finding that you're trying to compensate, or you're trying to justify, or you're trying to look for all the good information about something and avoiding the bad information about it in order to justify, then you gotta think about what you're doing here. So anyway, let me finish up with the alcohol and the effects it has on belly fat. So those of you, again, this is not a weight loss program or a group, but you know, we all have we want to lose some belly fat. Excess alcohol has excess alcohol has an effect on several hormones. Some of them can either trigger storage of fat in the belly, or it can inhibit release. So excess alcohol affects different hormones. I'm not going to go into the specific ones, but they will, how they're affecting you is they're going to make you hold on to fat. They're not going to release it, and they're going to trigger storage on your belly. And again, that is specific to belly fat. Alcohol is broken down into acetate, which is the same metabolic byproduct of or end product of fat and sugar, and the body sees no reason to burn that, so it just will store it. Alcohol, you know, carbs and protein have 4 calories per gram, fat has 9 calories per gram, and alcohol is 7. So there's still, you know, a good number of calories in alcohol, and it also just, your body just doesn't process it.